Hello, welcome to this Getting Started guide on how to use the Building Board portal. You'll notice up here after you access the URL linked to the portal, you'll be prompted for username and password. If you forget your password at any time, click on the Forget Your Password link. You'll get an email with a link on how to change your password, and then you can enter the new password. Click Login to access the portal. The first thing you'll notice when you access the portal is that you're on an OM Tasks tab. The tasks themselves represent properties that or your agency is specific for providing operating and maintenance costs each year. This part of the screen here lists the last few records you may have worked on. The first time you access the portal, there will be nothing listed here. It's just a quick link for going back to a record that you may have worked on the last time you came into the portal. Normally, the first thing you would want to do is drop this list and choose Tasks to Do, which then shows you the buildings for the current fiscal year that still require cost data to be entered. Once you have found the property you want to enter data for, you click on Edit and then begin entering costs. I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. The first thing is you may not want to scroll through all of these properties. You can sort them by clicking on the column heading by any of the specific column values. That might help you find it. Also, if you happen to know the building property, rather than scrolling through the list, you could come up here and type that or the building name, and then you can click straight into that property. So notice I clicked on the property and it brought up a view of the current data. So this data has been imported for 2015. And notice these little orange question marks, the little buttons here. As you move your mouse over them, it brings up help text on that category of cost. So if you need some extra help understanding what you're supposed to include there, that's your first line of attack. And these fields down here are calculated based on the other costs. So this is a tally of this column, a subtotal. This is a subtotal of this column. And then this is a total of adding these two values together. When you want to edit the cost values for a specific property, so I'm going to start by going back to here, demonstrating again, going to the task list, and then selecting a property. So editing the property or clicking on the edit button next to it will bring up the data entry screen. Notice how each of these is editable. Just type in whatever the value is for that category. You do not have to enter all of the values in all at the same time. You can do a partial entry, then click save, then come back and add the rest later. When you're all done editing the cost for a specific year and you actually want to indicate to the building board personnel that you've finished this one for this year, you click this checkbox here, mark as complete, and then save the record. What that basically does is moves that record from the to-do list to the completed task list. That way, as you complete specific entries for the year, the task list here will get shorter and shorter, and you'll be able to tell as soon as you come into this list what remains to be entered for that year. Also, when you're editing a specific task, there's a special field over here called Agency Specific Property ID. And this is a field that is totally for your use. If you want to type in your building number rather than the RiskConnect's asset number to search for the building over here, you would type that in here and then save the record. If I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then click saved on that record, then give it a chance to go through the indexing process. It's not an instantaneous deal, but so if I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, may not find it right now, but as soon as it finishes the indexing process, then when you search for it, you will be able to find it based on whatever value you supplied. So that's just a usability thing to help you find the building records you actually want to enter rather than having to scroll through the to-do list from top to bottom. The other item to point out here is the OM Archive tab. So the OM Tasks tab only shows the building properties that need cost data entry for the current fiscal year, unless you ask for a specific prior year to be added back to your list. As you enter the records fiscal year over fiscal year, they are automatically moved into the archive, which allows you to view any of the data from a previous or current year in a read-only state. If you clicked into a record, you can see what was entered in a previous year. This happens to be the current year. It's still read-only if it is the current year. You can only change records through the task list. But notice, as I'm viewing this archive record, that there is a link here to the task record, so I can click into it and edit it from here, and as you save the changes, they will be moved back into the archive. Also notice down here at the bottom of this task record, there is a link back to the archive record, so you have an easy way of moving back and forth between the archive and the task record if it's the current fiscal year. So that's the basic getting started guide for how to use the portal.